It's your girl, Lady Q. Only wanted to talk to you for a minute. In life, we deal with a lot of things, right? And even sometimes it feels like what we going through is like a storm. It seems like it's almost like the hardest thing that we're dealing with, and we're trying to figure out, like, why are all of these things going on around us? Let me tell you, just like Jesus told Peter to step out of the boat and into the water, to pay attention to him. And then when Peter began to notice the storm, everything that was going on around him, he started paying attention to the wind and how the wind was blowing and it was shifting. We can sit and pay attention to the wind, watching things shift around us, paying attention to what's going on in our environment, or we can stay focused on Christ. Because as Peter stayed focused on Christ, he did not sink. The storm wasn't a distraction to him. The situation and the environment that he was in was not a distraction to him. The disciples even watching the situation was not a distraction to him. And so what we have to do is be ever so careful and mindful of what we're going through, that it does not distract us, so that we stay focused on Christ in the midst of the storm. Don't worry about what's shifting and moving and blowing that's trying to cause a distraction. Don't worry about who's standing off at a distance watching your process. Because when you begin to pay attention to the things that's going on around you, you begin to pay attention to everything that's blowing and brewing. You begin to pay attention even to those that are watching you. You will begin to sink. Because when you begin to pay attention to those things, you start to second guess yourself. You start to second guess what God would have you to do. You start to even second guess the ability that God has placed in you to do. Just like God gave Peter the ability to walk on water. Because in his natural body, he couldn't walk on water. But as he stayed focused on Christ, and Christ gave him the ability to walk on water, we have to be ever so focused on Christ that what's shifting around us doesn't matter. Who's watching doesn't matter. That we begin to stand and walk in the very giftings and ability that God has given us. Because see, what you may be doing to be something that you've never done before. God has given you an ability that you didn't even know that you had. So when you begin to focus on other things, the ability cannot take place. The anointing seems to be shaky. Then we begin to lean on ourselves, thinking that, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are these things happening? Wait a minute, why is that happening? And why is, that happening like that? And oh my goodness, and I'm looking around, and then we find ourselves in a place that we begin to sink and realize we allowed ourselves to become distracted, and then we yell out like Peter did, Lord, save me. And when you yell out to God, he's going to reach down and he's going to save you. But just the same as what Peter went through. When Jesus took him back into the boat, he said, ye of little faith. Don't allow your faith to waver, no matter what it looks like. Don't allow your faith to waver, regardless of the storms that's going on around you. You don't allow your faith to waver, no matter who's watching you. Stay focused on Jesus. Don't mind the storm. Trust the process and watch the Lord see you through something that you've never experienced. He will show you something you didn't even know that you had that's inside of you. But stay focused on him so that he can get you to the other side. So whatever that assignment is, hold on to Jesus. Even if you don't understand the assignment that he's given you, you'll hold on to Jesus. And don't mind the storm.